Part 85. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuladin Chigwa. Chapter 848. Southern Border Duke's Mansion. The eldest Princess Iniya was in a state of confusion. She sat blankly by the window, her eyes were in a trance, and her delicate hands were stroking her red lips, as if she was reminiscing and yet she was afraid. I can't stay here any longer. She was afraid that if she stayed any longer, she would really make mistakes and cause irreparable consequences. Although she had done something immoral now, as long as no one discovered it, it meant nothing. But if the bottom line is exceeded, everything will be different. Immediately, she called out to the female knight beside her. It was sent by her husband to protect her. Of course I want to take them back together. However, she shouted several times, but no one responded. Go outside and take a look. There was no trace of the female knight either. Is there something important to do? She called other servants to inform the other party. In the farthest bedroom of the castle, Shenjian was a little surprised and glanced at the female knight in front of him. After taking off the heavy armor, the female knight is actually no different from an ordinary female ghost. Although her appearance is not as beautiful and noble as the princess, Miss Tyre, or the countess, she is still very attractive. And there are advantages that other women do not have. That's wild beauty. Wheat-colored skin, slender arm muscles that are extremely solid, clearly visible waistcoat lines, and hidden stalwart assets. The key thing is that the other party has not been touched yet. This surprised Shenjian. He originally thought that with the female knight's thorough love mind, she should have dedicated everything to the eldest prince as early as possible. Your Highness, this is my capital to become the princess. Of course I will not let myself be passive when I am not sure. The female knight explained. Then he straightened up his naked body, hugged Shenjian's waist from behind, and pressed his face against Shenjian's strong back. Your Highness, you are the only one I have. She knew there was no turning back. The moment she did not choose to die heroically but to survive, she was destined not to return to the eldest prince. Now, she has given herself completely to the man who once planned to crush her to death. It can be said that, she has been tied to the fourth prince's pirate ship. It's too late to regret. At this time, even if she is a top ghost king who is infinitely close to ghosts and gods, she can't help but feel uneasy and in urgent need of a sense of security. See this. Shenjian also made his own promise, this kingdom has a part of you. Hear this. The female knight showed a relieved expression. Quietly leaning on Shenjian's back, feeling this complete sense of security. It didn't take long. The servants of the Duke's palace came and brought news about the eldest princess. I disappeared for several hours, and the princess sent someone to find me. I have to get there quickly. The female knight stood up immediately. Shenjian supported her. Together they walked into the princess's bedroom. Seeing this brother-in-law coming back, Princess Ainiya's face became a little hot, and her eyes dodged. However, seeing the abnormality of the female knight beside her, she asked with concern, "Are you injured?" The female knight glanced at the princess in front of her, a bit guilty. See this. Shenjian glanced at the female knight thoughtfully, raised his eyebrows and said, "She's fine. I just tested her level at school to see if she can protect my sister-in-law. The result was pretty good. She is indeed suitable for escorting my sister-in-law. She is a hard-working person, a hardy knight." Female knight. Her heart was pounding. Fourth prince, you are too bold. Fortunately, the eldest princess didn't know what had just happened, otherwise she would have thought of something when she said these words. But this is so exciting. Think of this. She also plucked up the courage and glanced at Shenjian angrily. His Royal Highness the fourth prince was joking. I had no choice but to endure hardship. Shen Jian lingered on her lips for a second and said casually, actually, it's good to suffer a little more. Eating a little will make you wiser. If you eat too much, you will get used to it in the future. The female knight's heart beat faster. Apparently, she understood what Shen Jian meant by bitterness. Recalling the memory of crawling over at that time, her wheat-colored skin could not help but have a trace of blush. She subconsciously said, "Your Highness, you have never suffered. Of course you don't know what people who have suffered are like me, only those who have experienced hardship know how unbearable it is." Shen Jian said seriously, "You can only become a master if you endure hardships." Pooh! She despised His Highness the Fourth Prince's fallacies. As long as you suffer, there will be endless suffering. What a waste. The other side. Looking at the two people quarreling with each other, the princess suddenly felt a little suspicious in her heart. When did the relationship between these two people become so good? She clearly remembered that from the beginning, she, the female knight, had a very bad and defensive attitude towards the fourth prince. They had not seen each other for a few days, so how could the relationship have warmed up? Or is it that the female knight saw Shen Jian's strength and was impressed? She thought about it and felt that this was the only possibility. Immediately, she also said a lot. His Royal Highness the Fourth Prince is quite right. Suffering a little more can indeed make ghosts grow faster. His Highness has endured for more than 10 years. He must have suffered more than we imagined. Otherwise, he would not have grown up in just half a year. Within a month, we have successively occupied the southern and eastern territories. In this regard, the fourth prince does have a say. Shen Jian. He looked strange. The female knight couldn't help but laugh, and the corners of her mouth curled up. She thought about all the sad things she could think of in her life, and then she didn't laugh out loud. What's your reaction? The eldest princess looked confused. Isn't she right? It's nothing. Since my sister-in-law is so passionate about enduring hardships, next time, I will find a special time to let my sister-in-law endure some hardships with me and experience what it feels like to endure hardships. Shen Jian blinked. A pun. Finished. Shen Jian turned and left. The two were left to discuss private matters. As for what it is, he will soon learn from the female knight. There's no need to do such a thing as eavesdropping. Return to the study. Shen Jian opened the chat panel. The Western players in the Southern Territory have been killed by him, and all the Eastern Territory players have gathered in the Western Territory. The only ones left are the players in the Northern Territory and the High Seas. Due to the special geographical environment, they cannot go out of the territory with their own personal strength. Jana at Adolf at Sam at William, some of our players in the north also know how to make firearms and weapons. Aren't you already on the line of the great prince? Let the eldest prince send someone to escort us away, and say that some of us can make more sophisticated weapons. She sent a message 3 times in succession. Even the stupidest player knows what happened in the north and the situation is very wrong. Shen Jian looked at it. He remembered that when he first revealed his identity, the player with the ID Jana also caused quite a stir. It's not because this person is also a 5-star player. But the opponent is a female player. Level up to level 59. It is said that in the real world, she is a descendant of the royal family and a real princess. Before the horror game invaded and the strangeness descended, such a royal princess was a top dignitary that no one here was qualified to have access to. Although she only had a title but no real power, she was still a goddess-like figure sought after by the world's top financial families. Adolf, I had asked the eldest prince a long time ago and stated the seriousness of the situation, but when the eldest prince heard that he was going to the north, he bluntly rejected my request and said that in a place like the north, whoever goes there die. Adolf, what happened to you over there? Although the environment in the north is harsh, since the thriller game places the players there, it proves that you can survive. Could something have happened? Jana, damn it, the situation is worse than this. Even if the conditions are bad, this place is actually full of evil spirits. If the place where we came was not right on the edge of the six princesses' defense line, we would all have died on the first day. But now the situation is not much better. We are on the edge of the defense line. If we want to go to a safer place, we need to make a contribution, and our contribution is to kill the evil ghost. Jana, for this reason, we have already lost 6 people. If we stay here any longer, all of them will die sooner or later. Saw this news. All players were shocked. Is the situation in the north so bad? Out of 10 players, 6 have already been lost. This casualty rate is astonishing. The most important thing is that they have not entered the copy for half a month. According to this casualty trend, the players in the north will be wiped out in less than a month. No wonder this royal princess in the real world desperately sought help. We are at the end of our rope. Compared with fate, the so-called dignity is not worth mentioning. All players know the seriousness of the matter, and also know that if they can save each other's life at this time, they will definitely be able to climb high when they return to the real world. But when they thought that that place was the northern border, and that there were evil spirits raging, their little thoughts that were about to move calmed down again. William, Princess Jana, didn't you say that you are in the territory of the 6th princess? We can pass on the manufacturing process of the flintlock gun to you. If you take it and offer it to the 6th princess, you may be able to gain support. Jana, it's useless. According to my observations during this period, the 6th princess rarely has time to patrol the defense line. We can't contact each other at all. In addition, I suspect that in addition to resisting the evil ghosts, the 6th princess is also fending off other people. There was no time to take care of the sneak attack, and the force responsible for the sneak attack was suspected to be Yongkong City, where the Grand Duke of the North was located. Jana, the 6th princess is attacked from both sides. It's hard to say whether she can survive. After all, she is not the 4th prince, and she cannot occupy Yongkong City in one fell swoop. I can't hide in time, so how could I be involved? See this. Shen Jian was startled for a moment. Is the Grand Duke of the North dealing with the 6 princesses? This is valuable information. Maybe it could verify one of his conjectures. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 849. The Far North. The royal princess with the ID Jana looked at the chat interface somewhat helplessly. She has golden curly hair that is exactly the same as the royal family of the Eli Empire. When she first entered this dungeon, she was indeed regarded as a princess by many ghosts. Unfortunately, she was exposed not long after, and the living environment became even worse. Because she happened to land on the defense line of the 6 princesses organization, because of her hair color, she was regarded as an ugly ghost who wanted to pretend to be a princess, and was hostile to many people. Because of this, she has been unable to leave the edge of the defense and go to a safer place. At this point, she lied. After all, if other players knew that she had offended the ghost people in the north, they would be even less likely to come to rescue her. Princess Jana, what should we do? There are only 3 of us left. 2 mixed-race players came over. Typical European white man. Their levels are all around level 50, and they are the only 3 remaining players in the north. Jana was equally anxious. Baituk bit his nails. The thriller game has a total of 10 players in the north. Except for the 6 who died, there are only 3 of them left here. In other words, there is still 1 player whose whereabouts are unknown. She was not sure whether the missing player was the King of Yama from the Dragon Kingdom. Do you think that King of Yama will help us if we ask him for help? There was silence for a while. Jana said abruptly. The 2 white players were shocked. Ask the people of the Dragon Kingdom for help. If the 5-star players who entered the dungeon knew about this, they would probably be suppressed, hostile and alienated even if they returned to the real world. As if she knew what the two of them were thinking, Jana said, "Didn't you see the message on the chat interface? They have given up on us and left us to fend for ourselves, so why do we still follow their orders? The West, the Holy See and the Dragon Kingdom are incompatible. What does this have to do with us? If you can't save your life, even if you die in the dungeon, no one will care," said. Jana took action. She asked other players for their opinions. She just wanted them to stand in the same lineup as her so that they could resist risks together. Even if the two players were unwilling, her thoughts would not change. The other side. Shen Jian looked at the final frozen chat message thoughtfully. The Duke of the North takes action against the 6 princesses. Although it is speculation and the source of the news has not been confirmed, a group of players who have just entered the dungeon less than a month ago can detect that another force intends to destroy the 6 princesses organization, which shows that the other party's actions are no longer concealed. And in the entire Northern Territory, who dares to take action against the 6 princesses, and who has the capital to deal with the royal bloodline, besides the Grand Duke of the Northern Territory? If this is the case, it is somewhat intriguing. The 6th princess is obviously another line of defense against the evil ghosts. Why does the Lord of the North want to destroy them when they are on the front line against the evil ghosts? In addition, the only descendant of the Grand Duke of the North, the former saint of the Elim Temple, secretly created batches of evil spirits and directed and staged plans to purify them. This was very similar to the situation in the north. He had reason to suspect that the reason why the evil ghosts in the north could not be eradicated had something to do with the Duke of the North. As for the reason, that would naturally make the north independent. If there were no evil ghosts as a natural barrier, the royal family would immediately settle in the polar regions. By then, the Grand Duke of the North would have no reason to monopolize control of the north. A lot of power needs to be handed over. Will be restricted by the royal family. But it's different when there are evil spirits. Not only does the royal family need to provide material support every year, but it is also unable to take over the situation in the north. It can only allow the Kanye family to grow bigger and turn the north into its own territory. Think of this. Shen Jian smiled. He always trusts his own judgment. Anyway, even if he guesses wrong, the most he can do is beat the Northern Duke to death. He has nothing to lose. At this time, a private message caught Shen Jian's attention. Jana, Your Excellency, I don't know if you are in the Northern Territory. I want to trade with you. Don't worry, I won't say a word about what happened today. I swear on the credibility of my family. King Yama, come and listen. Jana, Your Excellency, we have not dealt with you before. We have a basis for cooperation. If you are in the north, we can work together to escape from the north. Jana, as a price, I can become your undercover agent in the Western Holy See and leak information about this group of people to you. King Yama, not enough. Jana, my family occupies an important position in the Western Holy See. I can give you a large number of supernatural resources, 100,000 horror coins, and a castle worth hundreds of millions. King Yama, not enough. See this. Jana, who was far away in the far north, turned pale. 100,000 horror coins and a large amount of supernatural resources were already the largest share she could mobilize, and it would require her to overdraw all her resources in the next 5 years to get it. If it's not enough, she really has no capital left. But soon, she seemed to have thought of something. Jana, in the real world, I am the princess of the Western Principality, and I can marry you. Seeing this line of text, the other two white players stared. This sacrifice is too great. Although the right system of principalities is no longer popular in the real world, in some places, these principalities still have the same power as the kingdoms in ancient times. Marrying a princess is probably the ultimate dream of every man. Who can resist such a temptation? King Yama. The other side. Shen Jian was a little stunned. In order to survive, he has to bend and stretch. No wonder that as a female player and a princess with a high status, she can reach level 59 step by step in the horror game copy. This kind of courage alone is not something that ordinary people can achieve. Think about it. King Yama, do you know the plan of the 12 main gods of the Western Holy See? Jana, I know part of it. King Yama, very good, send me the coordinates. Shen Jian withdrew his gaze. He showed a bit of satisfaction. He had heard the Western Holy See's 12 Lord Gods plan mentioned before entering the Yulai Empire dungeon at the Great Xiaolongke headquarters, and he had always kept this matter in mind. This is the third most important thing besides taking back Luo Fengtian's authority. Now that I can get clues, it can be regarded as an unexpected gain. Looking at the coordinates sent by the female player with the ID Jana, Shen Jian's lips curled up. Previously, the reason why he did not go to the Northern Territory immediately was because he had escorted his sister-in-law, and secondly, he did not know the specific information about the Northern Territory, let alone its specific location. Now, he successfully found out the base of the 6 princesses. It's time to secure the third territory. Knock knock knock. At this time, there was a knock on the door. The female knight poked her head in furtively. Seeing that there was no one in the study, he gently closed the door. Looking at Shen Jian with a strange expression, he said, "Your Highness, the 4th prince, you have scared the eldest princess. She just told me that she is preparing to leave the Southern Territory in the next few days. As for the sacred ruling, she will inform the Belkia family. Others will supervise. Leave? That's not okay." Shen Jian shook his head, "You think of a way to delay it for a few days. After I finish dealing with the problem in the north, we will discuss how to force her to submit." Female knight. Is it really okay to just express your dirty thoughts in front of me? Can you cover it up a little? Am I conspiring with the thief to frame the princess? You already have me, and she is just a spent flower. She is not worthy of your attention anymore, Your Highness. The female knight said tentatively. Shen Jian glanced at her and gave a shameless reason, "She is also my sister-in-law, and she is genuine. I like her." The female knight who was once considered a prince and princess looked at Shen Jian resentfully and couldn't help but said angrily, "Your Highness, your quirk is hopeless. Sooner or later, you will become infamous because of your son and be recorded in ancient books. Are you blessing me?" Finished solving the problem of the eldest princess, Shen Jian disappeared into the Duke's palace castle without alerting anyone. Night. The far north. In a town. It's freezing cold. Snowflakes are falling. A bonfire is placed in front of the 3 players, burning with green flames. There are such bonfires every few hundred meters, surrounding all buildings with a radius of 5 kilometers. Princess Jana, is that Dragon Kingdom person really in the north? Why is his starting point different from ours? He shouldn't be in Yongkang City. One player asked curiously. The people from the Dragon Kingdom that other players are looking for are in their northern border. If this news gets out, it will definitely shock everyone. Don't forget, he is the first city lord in the history of mankind to become a city lord in the Thriller World game area. It is normal to have some privileges. Thriller Game also said this at the beginning. Even in Yongkang City, there is nothing surprising. Jana was warming herself by the fire, but her head was wandering around, as if she was on guard for something. Hey, I really don't know how he did it. We in the Western world obviously entered the horror game more than half a year earlier than Dragon Kingdom, but let alone becoming the city lord of the 3 major game areas, we haven't even finished exploring the 3 areas of the Western region. Game area. I remember that among us Western players, the highest position now is probably the steward in the city lord's mansion. 2 white men talking to each other. There was deep envy and jealousy in his eyes, mixed with a lot of doubts and confusion. With a time difference of half a year, the people of the Dragon Kingdom were able to reach this status faster than their Western players. If this was a fair competition, wouldn't it be that Western Ghost controllers couldn't even see other people's car tail lights? It really destroys other people's confidence. Cheating is not done like this. When a thriller game is your home server. According to Longuo, this child is so terrifying. Listen to this. Jana couldn't help but sigh, and at the same time, she felt a bit of anticipation in her heart. She was about to meet this player who had been touted as a myth by the people of the Dragon Kingdom. She was fully interested in what the other party looked like. In her opinion, this king of Yama must be like other 5-star players. He likes to look at people with his chin. He is extremely arrogant and avoids strangers, revealing an ascetic style. If the demonization is extremely deep, it may even be abnormal. Just thinking about it? She caught a sudden glimpse out of the corner of her eye. Near the bonfire, a ghostly figure is emerging, with a faint shadow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 850. Around the campfire. A ghost shadow is looming, the shadow is faint, sometimes lengthening, sometimes shortening. The female player with the ID Jana suddenly became excited. It was like drinking suanmei, and my mind became much clearer all of a sudden. The cold starts from the feet. Evil ghost? She was startled. She is located on the edge of the defense line formed by the 6 princes to resist evil spirits. Within a radius of 5 kilometers, a large number of supernatural fires that can burn resentment are placed. Evil ghosts who have no sense will instinctively avoid this place. Even if they have sanity, once the evil ghost walks into the range of the bonfire, he will be burned with resentment and suffer extreme pain. Therefore, if there are evil ghosts that can appear on the edge of the defense line despite the supernatural beings of the campfire, then the level of terror must be at least above that of the Ghost King. At first, while the 9 players were keeping vigil, they were unlucky enough to encounter an Abyss-level Ghost King. In less than 3 seconds, 6 players died from the supernatural attack. During the entire process, the players did not even have room to resist. Now, another evil spirit came to the defense line they were guarding. This was really unlucky. Damn it! Ganon couldn't help but cursed in his heart. Just as she was about to call the other 2 players to be alert, a deep voice sounded in her ears. Jana, you sneaked out again. I told you not to run around casually. The female player with the ID Jana looked blank. Follow the sound. She saw in the dark corner beside the bonfire, a man with the same hair color and 70% similarity in appearance to hers, standing there, staring at her sternly, his tone silent and endearing. Brother? Why did you enter the thriller game copy? Is it possible that apart from the Dragon Kingdom man, the only other person whose identity has not been announced is you, brother? Jana's voice was full of surprise. I originally didn't want to be exposed and was going to protect you secretly, but this place is too dangerous and I have to take you away. In the darkness, the man opened his mouth one sentence at a time. There was no emotion in the words he spoke, as if a dead corpse was speaking. Finished. The man stretched out his hand with a doting attitude on his face. Just like the image of a brother in Jana's mind. Then, she stepped forward and walked towards the bonfire. 2 other players? They were confused. Watching this scene blankly. I just felt my scalp numb. Elder brother? What brother? Princess Jana's brother, if they remembered correctly, should be the king of a principality somewhere. According to what they knew, the other party was dead a long time ago in a terrorist attack. How could a dead person appear in a copy of the deep ghost realm and happen to appear in the north? In their eyes. In the dark corner next to the bonfire, a dark ghost figure stood clearly. It couldn't even be seen clearly, only a pair of white eyes were spinning around. This horse is clearly an evil spirit. Use supernatural influence on the player to make them take the initiative to step out of the range of the bonfire. As for Princess Jana, it was obvious that she had been tricked. The kind where even thinking has been rewritten. Otherwise, how could she believe that her brother would appear here? Think of this. The two couldn't help but curse secretly. Even the ghost controller with a game level as high as level 59 was caught unprepared. The horror level of this evil ghost was at least abyss level, and it was not an ordinary abyss level, but one that was infinitely close to the top Ghost King. After all, at the very beginning, an abyss level Ghost King launched a similar supernatural attack. Princess Jana resisted it, grabbed the two unlucky ones and retreated together, and survived. Now, their golden thighs were actually tricked. What should we do? There is no way. The two of them could only grab Princess Jana's left and right hands, one on the left and the other on the right, to destroy the supernatural beings and try to make the other party wake up. Princess Jana, that's not your brother, that's an evil ghost. Hell, stop. If you continue walking, you will step out of the bonfire range. Those are not your relatives. They were distraught. But he found that no matter how he used his supernatural power, he could not hold it back. This was not only the power of Princess Jana herself, but also the power of the evil ghost outside. Unless the two of them have the strength to suppress an abyss-level Ghost King, it will have no effect at all. And this. They really can't do it. They are just two ordinary 4-star players, and their level is around level 45. Although they have controlled 3 ghosts, they only have the capital to stand up to the top red ghosts. If you want to suppress an abyss-level Ghost King, even if 3 5-star players attack together, it will be difficult. The other side. In the dark corner. The obsessive ghost, who was completely covered in darkness, smiled sadly, looking at the 2 players who were busy with their bows on the left and right, and already had the idea of killing them in his mind. He wanted the woman he controlled to kill these 2 people with her own hands. Then remove the supernatural effect, allowing the woman to witness with her own eyes the whole process of killing her partner, cutting his heart out, and then regenerating and swallowing. That scene must be beautiful. However, before he could speak, the obsessive ghost saw that Jana's originally enthusiastic smile suddenly froze in place, and her footsteps suddenly stopped. There was a trace of panic on her face, staring at him, or in other words, staring at him. Behind. Obsessive ghost? He didn't know why. I don't know why this woman who was controlled by him suddenly looked like she had seen a ghost. Could it be that the obsessive person in this woman's heart is ugly? That wouldn't make him look like he was seeing a pervert. Hey. I will get her too. At this time. Jana swallowed her saliva, looked horrified, and said in a distorted voice, brother, when you came here just now, did you notice anything dirty around you? Obsessive ghost? He was stunned for a moment. No, am I the only one in this corner? Said. He even turned around to make sure. There was a building behind him. It was pitch black. Where was anyone? But when he turned around again, he saw Jana and the 3 of them all widening their eyes, as if they had seen something terrifying. That expression was definitely not fake. But what I really saw, especially the woman who is controlled by him, in the eyes of the other party, she is the most important person, her brother. In this case, how can the other party make up lies to scare him? But that is why. The obsessive ghost couldn't help but start to feel angry inside. The originally gloomy expression also became a little stiff. Feeling it carefully, his back seemed to be a little cold. Sister, Sister, what on earth did you see? Don't scare your brother. The obsessive ghost is about to cry. There was obviously nothing behind him, but these three people seemed to have seen something, and they all showed horrified expressions, which made him feel very stressed now. Don't dare to move at all. Damned. Could you please stop being the Riddler? Tell me straightforwardly what you saw, and I really want to think of countermeasures. What are you all doing? The enemy cannot move, but I cannot move. Grass. Brother, in your shadow, 8 eyes are moving, and a human face is floating. Jana yelled. Obsessive ghost. Hear this. His pupils shrank. The head was lowered stiffly. Just in time, he saw 8 scarlet eyes moving wildly in his own shadow, and a human face slowly rising up to meet his gaze. The face is none other than Shenjian. The next second, Shenjianja laughed strangely. The speed of rising is getting faster and faster. Another second. Ah! The obsession ghost howled. Not only because he was frightened, but also because he found that as the face continued to rise, his own shadow would also rise, and it would leave his body at any time and become the shadow of this face. Quietly, take away his shadow. He is an abyss-level ghost that is infinitely close to the top Ghost King. I am afraid that even the real top Ghost King cannot do this kind of thing. Where did this humming god come from? Other evil ghosts come here to kill people who are not of their own kind, but you are so weird that you are killing one of your own. It's too weird. Who are you with? Before the obsession ghost could react further, Shenjian had already emerged from the opponent's shadow, quietly appeared behind him, and whispered in his ear, I am the conspirator ghost, and I am ready to hack you to death, and chop you into pieces. 8 sections form a snowman. Obsessive ghost. He couldn't hold himself any longer. God is so conspiring. Your plot is to get in my ear and tell me how you want to kill me? You're such a plotter. What is the difference between this and discussing how to escape in front of the enemy? You might as well change your name to Tianzengi. No hesitation. Within a tenth of a second, he once again used his supernatural power to awaken Shenjian's inner obsession. Now, in Shenjian's eyes, he is the person he most longs to see. Just when he secretly breathed a sigh of relief, Shenjian showed a sickly smile and laughed strangely. Wonderful, so wonderful, you have turned into a collection of many suffering masters, then let me kill you one more time and help you take care of you. Wife, mother, sister. Said. A serrated sword emerged from the shadows. The irregular serrations were covered with minced meat, as if an unlucky guy had died under this big knife not long ago. Intimidating. Obsessive ghost? His mouth dropped open. Damn it! What the hell did I hear? What do you most long to see in your heart right now, is the person you once entered? More than one or two of them. Gan. What on earth did you do before that you are so eager to see your former sufferer? Dogecoin for you. Suddenly, the obsessed ghost discovered that using supernatural powers to transform himself into what Shenjian desires most was the worst decision he had ever made in his life. Not only will he die, but his death will also give this bitch an unusual sense of pleasure. It is true that it is a pleasure to help ghosts. Just thinking about it? In the eyes of the obsessive ghost, the irregular serrated sword has been chopped down. Just as Shenjian just whispered the content of the conspiracy, he was chopped into 8 pieces. It was stuck upside down in the snow. At the end of the thought, the obsessive ghost came up with a strange and ridiculous idea. Why was I not made into a snowman? Is it because the horse is looking down on me? Not far away. The 2 white players who were watching all this soberly felt like they were dead. This ghost with a serrated sword in his hand is even more terrifying and perverted than the previous one. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 851. It's over. Seeing Shenji uneasily split the obsessive ghost into 8 pieces with a charming smile on his face, the faces of the 2 white players who were awake during the entire process turned green. There are dozens of bonfire lines here, so why do evil spirits come to them? Each one is more terrifying than the last. It's honorable to bully the weak, right? At this time, their faces were ashen. The temperature emitted by the bonfire cannot dispel the fear in their hearts. An obsessive ghost can effortlessly control the strongest ghost controller among them. If it is replaced by a ghost that is more terrifying than the obsessive ghost, it wants to kill them. It's not a matter of minutes. Although their game level is not high, looking at the entire horror game, they can be regarded as senior ghost masters, and they are considered masters by most players. In their opinion, Shen Jian's terror level is at least at the level of a top ghost king. Coupled with a serrated sword that can easily dismember an abyss-level ghost king, it is not an exaggeration to say that he is the best among the top ghost kings. Looking at the 6 princess camp, there are not many ghosts of this level. But now, it was so special that they met. What kind of evil did this happen in the previous life? Just thinking about it? The female player with the ID Jana suddenly screamed. "Elder brother!" The sound was heartbreaking. Appearing hysterical. The next second, she rushed out of the bonfire and grabbed Shen Jian. A white jade arm began to decay at this time, becoming old and shriveled, with spots on the body, resembling an old man's hand, the kind that had been dead for many days. It's over. This sudden change did not allow the 2 white players to react. They did not expect that Princess Jana did not get rid of the supernatural influence, but still regarded the obsessive ghost as her brother. Now, seeing someone killing her relatives in front of her, they were still torn into pieces, and she was filled with anger. He rushed out desperately, fighting for his life. This is completely over. If you don't go out of the campfire range, you can still have a chance of survival. Stepping out is no different from stepping directly into a ghost cave. Certainly. Their ending wasn't much better. Once Princess Jana died, it was impossible for the 2 level 45 players to hold onto the edge of the defense line for a few days. Sooner or later, you will die. This moment, despair filled their hearts. Snapped. At this time, a crisp sound of big pussy sounded. The 2 players were stunned. Look again. I saw the ghost holding a saw-toothed sword slap Princess Jana on the face with a big mouth, and then kicked her out, kicking her back into the bonfire. Are you awake? If you're not, I don't mind a few more slaps. Said. Shen Jian put away the knife. There was a bit of disgust in his eyes. White player. They were confused. What do you mean? Nowadays, the evil ghosts no longer care about the prey that comes to their doorsteps? Etc. This tone, this demeanor, coupled with this apparently friendly attitude, could it be that you are that king of Yama? As soon as these words came out, Jana, who was so shocked by being slapped by a big dick, also woke up immediately. He raised his head sharply and looked at the man not far away. With black hair and eyes, handsome and clear facial features, and a blood-stained hemp rope constantly fluttering on his wrist, this image is exactly the same as what was posted on the internet. This is really the first legendary player in human history to become the lord of a city in a thriller game. The first time she saw the other person, a word appeared in her mind: abstinent male god. Add an adjective: an ascetic male god with perverted tendencies. Hear the words. Shen Jian nodded slightly. He swept away the 8 pieces of obsession ghost inserted upside down on the ground. After thinking for a while, the ghost figure under his feet stood up from the plane and turned from a 2-dimensional creature into a 3-dimensional creature. He picked up all the corpse pieces, mixed them with the snowdrift, and put them into the snow pile. It was made into a snowman. Subsequently, nodding with satisfaction, Jana. Other players. They were wrong. This guy is not a pervert, he is already perverted. Still very ill. You really think you are some kind of conspirator, and you even arranged the ghost's affairs. Thinking. Jana rubbed her face, parted with resentment, parted with gratitude, and looked at Shen Jian with anticipation. Sir, thank you for saving my life again. Let's come in and talk. It's very dangerous outside the bonfire, even if you have strength, but the number of evil spirits is endless, and it is easy to be exhausted outside. Shen Jian was non-committal. Stepped in. As soon as he stepped into the campfire range. Sizzle. The flame exploded. Burning extremely vigorously. Green fire shot straight into the sky. There was a huge commotion. The three of them were shocked. He looked at Shen Jian in disbelief. Bonfires have the power to burn away resentment and drive away evil spirits. At the same time, it also has a warning function. Evil ghosts feed on resentment. The heavier the resentment, the more crazy and the higher the level of terror. As soon as such a grudge-ridden evil spirit approaches the supernatural radiation range of a bonfire, it will actively trigger the supernatural warning function to remind others that an extremely terrifying evil spirit has arrived in this place. But now, why is the bonfire's warning so magical that it takes effect on Shen Jian, a human being? Judging from the intensity of the flames, this is at least a ghost at the level of a ghost. Shen Jian, is he an evil ghost? Or is he an extremely evil ghost filled with evil and resentment? Think of this possibility. Jana and the other three turned pale. He subconsciously took a few steps back. When I looked again, a large amount of black mist has risen above Shen Jian. In the dark fog, it seemed like the wails of thousands of ghosts were ringing out. This is the searing supernatural power of a campfire. Normally, when an evil ghost approaches, it will only be burned into a layer of white smoke, but when Shen is on the body, the white smoke turns into black smoke, and the horse turns into fog. How many ghosts have you killed and tortured to create such pervasive resentment? Gan. Even if he had been a demon since his mother's womb and had been doing evil for hundreds of years, he would not be able to develop such overwhelming resentment. This is outrageous. The scalps of the three of them were numb. I can't believe that this is a human being. In their opinion, this is simply a ghost-level evil spirit wearing human skin and even stealing the memory of the player King Yama. The other side. Shen Jian frowned slightly. It wasn't that he felt he was being judged as an evil ghost, but that this bonfire was actually burning the collective resentment in his body. Trying to burn it down. What a joke. This was the Yin Qi accelerating cheating device he accidentally obtained when he was investigating the destruction of Xuanjiao City in the Qingguo dungeon. The cheating device was composed of more than 200,000 innocent dead ghost people. He swallowed these resentments into his body and paired it with Yama. Wang's clerical ability, Senluo Ghost Qi, can increase him 6,000 to 10,000 Yin Qi in one day. It was burned down. Where could he find another one? Then, Shen Jian raised his hand and waved. The bonfire burning with green flames went out quietly. Subsequently, Shen Jian walked into it. He smiled and said, "Don't worry, I am a human being, now we can have a good talk." Jana. The corner of her mouth twitched. He showed a smile that was uglier than crying. Damn it! Who dares to talk to you about this? You are full of resentment, there are thousands of ghosts wailing, and you have casually extinguished the bonfire that can restrain evil ghosts. Now, you are telling us that you are a humming human? Do you think we believe it? She wanted to cry but had no tears. He opened his mouth and wanted to refute out of habit, but after thinking about it, he gave up the idea of seeking death. He could only nod helplessly. Dare not speak. See this. Shen Jian sighed. The next second, he looked startled. Then he showed an unexpected expression. Look away. I saw ghostly figures coming out near the extinguished bonfire, in the alleys, and inside the buildings. Every level of terror is above the abyss-level Ghost King. The top Ghost King also appears in the 6 statues. The entire place where he was surrounded, and the eyes of a pair of ghosts were full of gloom, alertness, and anger. To this, Shen Jian was not interested. Instead, he focused his attention on a little girl walking out from the far side of the street. The little girl looks about 14 or 15 years old. Wearing a gorgeous Lolita costume, it looks like it was made by the palace. It is full of luxury. It is completely 2 extremes from this white-capped Arctic land. More importantly, this little girl has long rose gold hair that reaches her waist, and a pair of golden eyes that shine brightly in the dark, exuding an indescribable sense of oppression. The little girl, who obviously looks like a little loli, is showing off her royal majesty at this moment. Wherever she went, the fierce ghosts around her lowered their heads in sincerity. Willing to be her foil. Set off her luxury. No doubt. This is a royal bloodline. And the one who can appear in the north is undoubtedly the 6th princess. Brother Si Wang, if you are not staying in your southern territory, why are you coming to my camp? When the 6th princess opened her mouth, it was as if she was shocked. It shocked everyone present. This man with a lot of resentment and an extremely evil spirit is actually the 4th prince of the Eli Empire? The 4th prince who suddenly rose up, occupied Eagle City in one fell swoop, killed a duke, and was about to become the lord of the southern territory? How can this be? It is impossible to go wrong with the bonfire warning. The man in front of him must be an evil ghost, and he had killed a large number of ghosts and created a massacre of evil ghosts. The number of slaughtered animals was at least over 100,000. Otherwise, it would be impossible for the black mist to rise into the sky under the burning of the bonfire and linger for a long time. At this point, they, the Aboriginal people in the north, know this best. Even if it's just the 4th prince, he is controlled by resentment and has become an evil ghost, not the original him. The more I think about it, the ghosts became more and more alert. As soon as the 6 princesses gave the order, they launched a supernatural attack and defeated each other in one fell swoop. As for killing each other, they dare not say that. After all, an evil ghost with such overwhelming resentment is at least a ghost god level being. Unless the opponent refuses to retreat, it will be difficult for them, a group of abyss-level ghost kings and top ghost kings, to kill a ghost and god. At the same time, hearing the menacing words of the 6 princesses in front of him, Shen Jian shrugged, spread his hands and said, "Sister Wang, I said I am a good person, do you believe it?" When saying this, Shen Jian's expression was extremely sincere. 6th princess. When you say this, collect the overwhelming resentment that escapes from you. This way the credibility can be higher. The protagonist sleeps with painted skin ghost at the beginning. It's a very good folklore story. You can give it a try. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 852. There are many ghosts. The extinguished bonfire was almost like a purgatory on earth. A large number of evil ghosts surrounded him, glaring at Shen Jian on the field with suppressed, cold, forbidding, and alarming eyes, and with an expression of extreme hatred. The 3 horror game players, headed by Jana, were so nervous that they could hardly breathe. Their hearts were completely covered with a sense of terror. They could no longer tell whether their hands and feet were cold because of the cold weather or because they were surrounded. When he got up, his blood stagnated due to fear in his heart. They have never experienced the scene before. Not to mention them, even 5-star players have never experienced being stared at by more than hundreds of ghost kings at one time, with a terrifying gaze that chooses and devours people. This kind of gaze almost makes their legs and feet weak. If the horror game hadn't helped them hide the presence of the living person, they wouldn't have been able to imagine how cruel the next scene would be. Now, all eyes were focused on Shenji Unjian. Even evil spirits at the level of ghosts and gods will feel greatly stressed and fearful. At this time, the three players were confused. They couldn't tell which one was the true identity of the man in front of them. On the surface, the other party is indeed the player King Yama who contacted Princess Jana not long ago. But the overwhelming resentment and the long-lasting black mist don't look like something a human being can possess. This level of resentment enters the body, thousands of ghosts scream, and resentment erodes all the time. Who dares to say that Shenjian is a human being and not a crazy evil ghost formed by the collection of thousands of wronged souls? And the identity of the last fourth prince. Who would have imagined that the fourth prince that their players have been discussing for so long is actually being played by the players? This is totally unreasonable. Therefore, they are confused. I can't tell the difference, I really can't tell the difference. And the sixth princess was also confused. She blinked her gilded pupils, and her long eyelashes looked up and down as she frowned. Judging from the outside, the other party is indeed her fourth prince brother. But, the changes have been too big. In her mind, the fourth brother was a complete fool who could not stand up to the wall. He was bullied by the first brother, the second brother, and the third prince. She did not dare to make any noise, so she could only vent her anger on others. And in the palace, being the youngest, she naturally became the target of being bullied by brother Si Wang. However, contrary to brother Si Wang, when faced with this kind of thing, she immediately resisted and hung him on a tree for one night. Don't dare to trouble her again. Stupid and annoying, this was the image of the fourth prince in her memory. The person in front of him looked calm in the face of the crowds of hundreds of fierce ghosts. Just standing there gave him an aura of being sharp and arrogant. Appearance can be disguised, but temperament is difficult to change. Who are you? You are not brother Si Wang. The sixth princess overturned her previous words and said straightforwardly. Shenjian blinked. She changed her black hair back to gold, and her deep black pupils turned into gold, just like the golden pupils of the sixth prince. Dazzling and flamboyant. My good sister, I am indeed your fourth brother. Shenjian said casually. A movement of steps. Just plan to have a hug after a long separation. Stop, I'm sure now that you are indeed not brother Si Wang. Ever since he was hung on a tree by me for one night, he has hated me and has not been in contact with me for a long time. How could he call me sister? Really, where is the fourth brother? Although he is stupid, he is of royal blood after all and cannot be insulted. I can redeem him. The six princesses also stepped forward. He looked at Shenjian without fear. Two pairs of golden eyes collided with each other in the darkness. Shenjian was very interested. That's it? Why can't it be me who has figured it out and wants to bury the hatchet with you and be a good brother? Sixth princess. What's the difference between saying this and saying it yourself? She calmed down and said coldly, even if you can disguise your appearance and the characteristics of the royal bloodline, it is difficult to change a person's aura in a short time. The outside world said that the fourth prince had been holding back for more than 10 years, but he was fooling around. He was already 15 when I was here, so if you were really pretending, you would never have been bullied and turned around to tease me, and you wouldn't have been hung up by me all night. Few people in the entire palace know about this matter. Even if you want to establish a cowardly persona, you shouldn't do it without anyone knowing, unless cowardice is your character. What's more, the four princes I know don't have such overwhelming resentment and terrifying levels of ghosts and gods. No, it should be said that the entire Ili Empire does not have the environment for you to develop such resentment. Who are you anyway? The voice of the sixth princess was always kept at a steady decibel, giving people a sense of extreme calmness. Even if she said she wanted to redeem the fourth prince, it was not because of brother-sister affection, but to avoid tarnishing the reputation of the royal family. Shen Jian was stunned for a moment. He had no memory of being a prince. Everything I know is from other people's mouths. If the news is too niche and few people know about it, then it wouldn't be surprising to find out that he is not the fourth prince. In fact, this is where the horror game playing streaming model suffers the most. Players can inherit the identity in the dungeon, but they cannot inherit the memory. They can only collect intelligence through their own eyes to prevent themselves from revealing flaws bit by bit. This is the first time that his identity in the copy has been exposed. Strangely fresh. Then, Shen Jian grinned, with an equally sinister smile. That's a good analysis. But, my good sister, you exposed my identity in person like this because you thought you could use the name of the Eli Empire to put pressure on me and make me retreat, but, have you ever thought about a question? If you expose the murderer in front of him, will the other party squat down with his head in his hands, admit his guilt and be executed, or will he become angry and kill you all in the most cruel way? Finished. Shen Jian already started laughing. A movement of footsteps. Just like that, he walked towards the sixth princess in front of everyone. Be bold. If you offend the royal family, how many heads will you lose? Since he's not the fourth prince, we don't have to worry about hurting anyone. Go ahead, let him know that evil cannot defeat good. No matter how fierce the evil spirits are, we will still win in the end. Come on, everyone. Behind us is our home, otherwise the evil spirits will continue to run rampant. The ghosts were filled with indignation. There was a lot of anger. Morale is at an all-time high. At this moment, they are warriors, trying their best to protect the homeland behind them. Let the evil spirits know that evil is only temporary, and the sky in the north will always be bright. In such an atmosphere, a jagged ghost king whose head was cracked open, revealing a head full of sharp teeth, rushed towards Shen Jian with a spirit that looked back on death. Shen Jian glanced at it. His eyes were full of disgust. Go away, you are definitely on the list of the 10 ugliest people in the Touching Kingdom. I have to wash my eyes 8 times just to look at you. He grabbed the opponent's neck and threw him out with one hand, smashing through the streets in several places. There is no quality at all in his mouth. And you old sneak attack guy, get out of here. Said. He turned back and kicked the old man holding the lightning whip away. Subsequently, his eyes fell on a ghost boy who had clung to his back. After grabbing it, Shen Jian smiled softly. It's a bad lesson, but it doesn't matter. I'll kill you now so that you won't be led astray by these people again. Shen Jian was obviously much more patient when facing a ghost boy who was several years old. Giving full play to the principle of respecting the old and loving the young, he stuck it upside down in the snow and kicked it at the same time. Help deliver soil to the snow. Deliver nutrients. Hiss. See this. All the fierce ghosts who were originally so aggressive were frightened to death. Swallow hard. The 3 people who were just killed were all top ghost kings. But in front of this man, there was no room to fight back. Is this how scary ghosts and gods are? This is not only a respect for ghosts and gods, but also an evil ghost. His methods and qualities are outrageous. Let alone killing the opponent, whether it can be driven back is still a question at the moment. The other side. The 6 princesses looked at the scene where no ghost could leave any traces on each other, and their little faces were full of solemnity. I was shocked. This man pretending to be her brother, the 4th king, seemed to be more than just an ordinary ghost. The madness of the other party had obviously not been revealed yet. He was no longer something they could resist with his bare hands. If you want to repel the opponent, you don't know how many ghosts you need to fill in. Looking at this man with a crazy smile and full of quality words, she suddenly regretted it. I regret that I exposed the other party's identity in the first place. The other party did not care about the reputation of the Eli Empire at all. On the contrary, because of her exposure, the man adopted another strategy. That means killing them all. No doubt. This is a bad move. It does nothing but hasten their death. And even if this man could be repelled, a camp that had lost most of its residents would no longer be able to withstand the ravages of other evil spirits, let alone the invasion of Yongkong City. Thinking. The situation on the field has also entered a white-hot stage. Shen Jian's feet. The ghostly shadow turned into an endless dark swamp. The ghost hands kept struggling in the shadow, but they could only watch themselves sinking. Immediately afterwards, Shen Jian moved faster and faster. The ghostly shadow swallowed up all the ghosts along the way. Soon, Shen Jian left behind the corpse of a ghost that attacked from high altitude, took 2 steps forward, looked down at the 6th princess who was only about his waist, and grinned weirdly. "My good sister, aren't you very good at analyzing things? Then you analyze it now. Which of these 2 maids will I kill first?" said. With one hand, Shen Jian grabbed the 2 assassin maids who were about to attack them, and raised them in front of the 6th princess, smiling a little sickly. "If you guess which one you guess, you'll kill the other one." Apparently, this is the 6 princesses being roasted on the fire. After all, no matter which one she guessed, it meant giving up the other one. This is heart-wrenching words. At the same time, seeing Shen Jian's behavior, the 3 players trembled even more. "Mad, you also said that you are not an evil ghost. If you say this, no one will believe you. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace." Author, Shiyu Bulletin Chigua. Chapter 853. Come. My good sister, guess which one I will kill first. There will be a prize for guessing correctly. Shen Jian grabbed an assassin maid with one hand and placed it in front of the 6th princess. He grinned in a weird smile. His smile was oozing, and he looked more like an evil spirit than an evil spirit. Just one word stands out: perversion. 6th princess. She stared at Shen Jian, and although her expression changed, she did not show any fear, or anxiety, as if she was born unable to sense these emotions. "Let them go, I can let you handle it. You pretended to be my 4th king brother, occupied the southern territory, and brought the eastern territory under your control, and eliminated the 2nd prince brother. What you did should be to win the king's trial. You can voluntarily give up all this." She made conditions. Although his tone was calm, his tone had changed. Apparently, in the heart of the 6th princess, the fact that Shen Jian so destructively penetrated the defense line she had worked so hard to build still shocked her heart. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. "I feel a little boring." He had clearly noticed the change in the mood of the 6th princess, but she seemed unable to sense emotions, and naturally she would not show any obvious expression on her face. "If you can't see these, the fun will be half as good." Shen Jian felt a little regretful. "Stone girl, this is so boring." If this were a more mature person, he would still be interested in training her to reach the highest level of her emotions, but unfortunately, this is a little Lolita. The body has not grown. Although she is not a young girl, she is still too young. Koyokiana is at least at the level of a high school student, and these 6 princesses are somewhere between junior high school students. Just thinking about it? Outside the campfire line. In the darkness, ghostly figures emerged from the depths of the snow. "Hey hey hey. Woo-oh. Hee hee hee. Ja. Ghost sounds sounded. The sound is mysterious and penetrating. The expressions of the six princesses changed. His eyes swept away. Outside the defense line of the extinguished bonfire, I saw a headless naked woman, an old woman wearing a ghostly garment, a little boy holding a severed hand, a man who kept wailing, and half a corpse with his eyes gouged out. One after another, terrifying figures kept murmuring, filled with indescribable resentment, with extreme murderous intent in their eyes, grinning ferociously, approaching here little by little. No doubt. These are all evil spirits. After the bonfire was extinguished, the group of evil ghosts wandering near the defense line seemed to have found guidance, and they all gathered together, trying to destroy all bases where evil ghosts lived. Turn this place into a forbidden area full of resentment. The person who caused all this was naturally Shen Jian, who put out the bonfire casually. The hearts of the ghosts are as grey as death. Couldn't help but scream. This is their last home in the north. If the sixth princess hadn't gathered them together, set up this camp, and kept the evil spirits away from this 3-acre area, they would have long become lonely ghosts with no fixed abode. But today, all this is shattered. Not to mention that the strength of Shen Jian is obviously beyond the standard. He is no longer an extremely evil ghost. If the defense line is broken, it is in danger of destruction. And they had no means of counterattack. We can only watch helplessly as the evil ghost groups continue to approach here and enter the home they have worked so hard to build. At this time, in the tide of evil spirits, two obviously different evil spirits walked out. One has 4 ghost eyes, but one of them is blind, leaving only 3 ghost eyes. Each ghost eye is dotted with a white flame. Through this white flame, it seems that you can see a large number of innocent souls were imprisoned. A long dress was as delicate as blood, and she was holding a bloody piece of meat in her hand. As she walked along, the snow turned into a field of blood. And their level of terror is that of top ghost kings. Infinitely close to ghosts and gods. GGG, Lord Ghost and God, we are here to help you and help you destroy this damn camp. The three-eyed ghost laughed sadly. He stared straight at the sixth princess, his eyes full of ferocity and distortion. It seems that he has a grudge against the sixth princess. The other female ghost in a red dress also smiled ferociously. Little bitch, you are here too. I have already told you that sooner or later I will take off your face. Master Ghost, let's help you massacre them all, said. The female ghost in the red dress rushed forward. Apparently, after seeing the overwhelming resentment emanating from Shen Jian, she had already regarded Shen Jian as one of their kind. Although she was confused about the origin of Shen Jian, the ghost-level evil spirit that suddenly appeared, but since they were all of the same kind, there was nothing to ask. Anyway, Shen Jian's purpose is to destroy this place, and so do they. On this matter, their positions are unanimous. Therefore, she rushed forward without thinking. Let go of your resentment. However, the next second, sizzle. A violent purple thunder column continued to expand in front of the female ghost in the red dress. Boom. There was an explosion. Wait for the snow dust to disperse. What the skirt ghost saw was that the entire upper body of the red skirt ghost disappeared and fell straight into the snow. At the same time, Shen Jian looked at the three-eyed ghost and the others with a strange expression. He opened his 5 fingers on one hand, with purple arcs surrounding it, and said inexplicably, "Who are you? Who asked you to fight for monsters with me? Do you understand that monsters in the wild are first come, first served?" As soon as these words came out, the whole place fell silent. Third princess? Ghosts? Three-eyed ghost? Everyone was stunned. He looked at Shen Jian in astonishment. Eyeballs will pop out. Damn it! You have turned into a demon to such an extent that you can no longer tell the difference between friend and foe? Beat everyone on your own? See clearly, we are the same kind. When the same kind sees the same kind, Tears well up in both eyes. What do you mean by taking action without saying anything? The fierce ghosts are a group, the evil ghosts are a group, and then you yourself are also a group, right? It's too grassy. The sixth princess was also in a daze. The expression is incomprehensible. In her opinion, the reason why this group of evil ghosts appeared was because Shen Jian summoned them to destroy this place and eliminate her as a participant in the trial for the king. But now, that doesn't seem to be the case. This man seems to have nothing to do with the evil spirits that appear in the north. Only. As evil spirits, shouldn't they all be in the same lineup, regardless of region? The six princesses were puzzled. Just thinking about it? The three-eyed ghost who recovered from the shock paused and said hesitantly, Master Ghosts and Gods, we are in the same group. What are you doing to us? You see clearly, we are also evil ghosts. Hear this. Shen Jian looked up and down at the three-eyed ghost. Suddenly nodded, look clearly, the white supernatural fire on your eyes is quite good. Pick it out and give it to me. Don't let me do it myself. Three-eyed ghost. The corner of his mouth twitched. God consciously picked it out. Is your focus wrong? What I want you to see is my identity, not a part of my body that you can covet. The three-eyed ghost couldn't help but said, My lord, haven't you noticed any other characteristics about me besides the white supernatural fire? Your eyes are not bad either. You can imprison the evil souls of evil spirits. These ghost eyes also play a big role. Pick them out and give them to me. Shen Jian clicked his tongue in surprise, brother, you used to be a robber? Thank you for reminding me. Don't worry, I have always robbed wealth and lives, and I will not leave you a chance to retaliate. On this point, you can let it go. Hundreds of hearts. Three-eyed ghost. No. Are you a real humming robber? After just 2 glances, I found the 2 most precious organs in my body. He choked. I can't stand being punished by Shen Jian's behavior. Then. He said straightforwardly, Sir, you see clearly, we are all evil ghosts. Evil ghosts are not tolerated by powerful ghosts. They are trying to destroy us. We should unite to overthrow the northern border and turn it into a restricted area filled with resentment. Turn it into a paradise suitable for us. The three-eyed ghost said proudly. He looked enthusiastic about doing something great. Hear this. Shen Jian nodded thoughtfully. What you said does make some sense. We have the same goal of overthrowing the rule of the North. In this case, we are competitors. There is one more reason to kill you. Said. Shen Jian showed a strange smile. Stretch out your fingers. The original purple arc turned into a bright golden thunder light. The next second, countless strands of fine golden thunder were like a dense electrical grid, overwhelmingly rushing toward the three-eyed ghost and the evil ghosts. That moment, crazy thunder swept across. Thunder exploded. The terrifying brilliance of heavenly power shone out, rendering the dark night into gold. It's also this moment. Three-eyed ghosts and dead souls emerge. The whole person was horrified to the extreme. He did not expect that after he had clearly stated his identity, he would be driven to death by his own kind. God is a competitor. Can't we just be partners? Why is your brain circuit so strange? If I had known you had this kind of God-level understanding, we wouldn't have come to help just now. The three-eyed ghost's eyes were still beating, and for the first time, he felt despair at the evil ghost's uncontrollable and weird thinking and logical ability. Before that, he has always been proud of this as a characteristic of evil spirits. With this thought, his consciousness fell into endless darkness. Boom. At the same time, the thunder net cover came down. Hundreds of evil ghosts who were ignorant and only knew how to destroy all beings that were not of the same kind in front of them fell down in the roar. Black smoke curled up. The land that was originally covered with a thick layer of snow and frost turned into a charred hell at this moment. Everywhere you look, there are charred limbs and broken arms. Not a single ghost survived. In an instant, the whole audience could hear the needle drop. Becomes dead and horrified. What kind of perverted and powerful attack is this? It was like facing the thunder in the sky. Moreover, riding a horse is controlled by humans. Is this what evil spirits can possess? What a joke. The reason why evil ghosts are evil ghosts is because they are dominated by resentment. They are aliens among ghosts who only know how to destroy. Even top ghost kings with complete thinking abilities like the three-eyed ghost and the female ghost in red dress will also be affected by resentment. The impact has become somewhat abnormal. Under normal circumstances, when they learn that there are ghosts and gods invading the camp of the six princesses, the normal ghosts will know to shrink down at this time to prevent their aura from being noticed, but the evil ghosts are different. They only knew that the ghost that invaded the sixth princess camp was also an evil ghost, and the evil ghost was one of their own. If their own people were present, they would naturally do whatever they wanted. Under the power of Huang Huang Heaven, ghosts are already extremely restrained existences, which are incompatible with water and fire. On this basis, evil ghosts are undoubtedly the snow and frost on the ground, so how can they be compatible with fire? What on earth is going on? The evil ghost is a different kind among ghosts. He has mastered the thunder in the sky that is least likely to be controlled by evil ghosts. Negative and negative, negative is just right. You can understand the inequality. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 854. At this moment, the whole place was dead silent. Both the players and the fierce ghosts in the six queens lineup felt their scalps numb and their hearts palpitating. Kill hundreds of evil spirits above the red level with one strike. Still using thunder from the sky. Not to mention ghosts and gods, even the legendary world-destroying ghosts and gods cannot unleash such amazing methods. What is the origin of this man who controls thunder? This doubt appears in the hearts of all ghosts. And along with it, there is fear. After all, what's special about this is that he can't tell the difference between friend and foe. He is an alien among aliens who is in the same lineup. He can kill even his own people without hesitation, let alone them who are not in the same lineup. With just one more dense mine net, this camp will completely disappear in the north. It's like it was never born. Death is infinitely approaching at this moment. The ghosts never thought that waiting for death is the most tortured thing in the world. The other side. Shen Jian retracted his hand calmly, his expression unchanged from the beginning, as if all this was done casually and not worth mentioning at all. Then, his eyes fell back on the sixth princess. Grinning, "My good sister, come on, let's continue the conversation we just had. What do you want to say to me?" Sixth princess. She frowned deeply. Although there was no obvious emotional change on the surface, he was equally shocked inside. This man is more dangerous than the Duke of the North. The horror level was at least infinitely close to the world-destroying level. The reason why she said it was at least because she had never seen the evil ghost using thunder from the sky. This was far beyond her knowledge. Mystery too much. Leave her confused. For a long time, she suppressed the uneasiness in her tone and said calmly, "Your target is me. I can let you deal with it. I just hope you let the rest of the people go. They don't pose any threat to you. And from what I see, you don't insist on killing everyone like other evil spirits, so this request shouldn't be difficult for you." Shen Jian was very interested. He pinched the sixth prince's chin and lifted it up. "Good sister, don't pretend to be a holy mother with me here. I'm killing ghosts, but it doesn't matter whether you are good or bad, you are so great, why don't you go to heaven?" The sixth princess stared at her dead eyes. Death is not a bad thing. The more you understand this world, the more you know that when human power will eventually be exhausted, death will be another new life. If I was afraid of death, I would not choose exchange territories with Brother 4 and head to this far north. Shenjian. Not only is she a stone girl, but she is also an artistic potential suicidal person. Think about it. Shenjian let go of the other party. He said casually, "You are my good sister, how could I be willing to kill you? There are actually many beautiful things in this world that are worthy of your nostalgia." Sixth princess, I have nothing to miss. Shenjian raised his eyebrows. Ghosts appear. He sank the two assassin maids beside the sixth princess. Now that you have it, I still have a group of your subordinates here. Don't you want to save them? Sixth princess. She was a little stunned. If there is no beauty, how about creating bad things to cherish? Gan. Your thoughts are simply scarier than a ghost. Evil ghosts only know how to kill people, and no matter how much they do, they torture the physical body. You go to the next level and torture the human heart. You know how to seize the enemy's weaknesses and threaten them with death. The sixth princess said coldly, "What do you want to do? Judging from your appearance, you probably don't want to kill me. Do you need me for something?" Shenjian was non-committal. "I just said that my target is not you, but the north. I need to know whether the evil ghosts in the north are related to the Duke here. If you know any specific information, please tell me." Hear this. The expression of the sixth princess inevitably changed slightly. Seems to be surprised. "How did you guess that? According to my information, you should have never been to the north before. How could you associate the evil ghosts here with the Grand Duke of the North? Even I only came here a year after I came here. All of this was connected through clues. Is it hard?" Shenjian, the old Shinto. Sixth princess. "What I said makes me seem like a fool." She looked at Shenjian with an inexplicable expression. "It's strange. Judging from your thoughts, reactions, and daily behaviors, you don't look like an evil ghost at all, but you have a monstrous resentment that ordinary evil ghosts don't have. If it weren't for your strength and methods, they would far exceed those of the royal family. Everything that blood can touch, I might really treat you as the fourth brother. Finish this." She continued, "Yes, the reason why there are endless evil ghosts in the north is because the Grand Duke of the North is deliberately mass-producing them. Every encirclement and suppression seems to have wiped out the evil ghosts in a large scale, but in fact it has no effect at all. The last batch of evil ghosts after death, the next batch of evil ghosts will be released all over the Northern Territory, which creates a reality where the evil ghosts continue to flow and the source cannot be seen. I was aware of this at the beginning, so I sent people to Yongkong City to investigate. I didn't expect that the exposure would lead to the Grand Duke of the North intending to destroy my base. If I hadn't publicized my reputation so much that the other party would be afraid of it, I would have done it long ago. Died. If you want to get the North, you have to kill the owner of the far north and destroy the base camp where the evil spirits are created. Otherwise, even if you get the North, you will only get an empty shell, without any help." The sixth princess revealed a fact. It was confirmed that Shenjian's previous guess was correct. The Grand Duke of the North is the source of evil spirits. Shenjian's expression remained unchanged. He continued to ask, "Do you know where this evil ghost manufacturing camp is?" "I know, but we have never been close. It is located on a block street in Yongkong City. Except for the Grand Duke of the North, anyone who dares to approach will be directly killed by the secret guards. My people have taken a look from a distance. At least there are guards there. There are no less than 5 top ghost kings, and if there are more secretly, our abilities are limited and we cannot tell. And we have observed that the Grand Duke of the North also patrols here every day. With his level of terror, there is no one in the entire North who can hide from him." After listening, Shen Jian nodded slightly. The guards are so tight that even the Lord of the North often patrols. The possibility of it being an evil ghost manufacturing camp is close to 100%. This information is very crucial. It can shorten the time for him to regain the northern territory to the greatest extent. To this, Shen Jian was very satisfied. As for the Grand Duke of the North, you don't need to know this. Anyway, the Duke's palace did not escape. No matter what happens, if he makes some noise in Ghost Street, the Grand Duke of the North will stop and rush here even if he is in bed and about to spit out the essence of life. The other side. Seeing Shen Jian's thoughtful and excited expression, the sixth princess was a little surprised. Are you really planning to destroy the Ghost Street and overthrow the Kangye family's rule in the north? What do you want to do? Even if you can do this everything, in a short period of time, the North Territory, which has been ravaged by evil spirits, cannot provide you with any help. And you have already eliminated me. The North shouldn't be of any benefit to you. Hear the words. Shen Jian glanced at her. He reached out and pinched both sides of the other person's cheeks. You guess. The sixth princess rolled her eyes, staring with a helpless expression, and fell into deep thought. Soon, she came to her senses and said in surprise, the north is a barren land, but there are one of the most valuable and fertile places is the dock. The dock is connected to the high seas, and the high seas are the territory of Sister Three Wangs. Do you want to use this as a stepping stone to eliminate Sister Three Wangs? Although her tone was doubtful, her face showed confidence that this was the case. Do you want to win the king trial so much? Do you want to become the king of this kingdom? To realize a unified empire? A series of doubts came out of the mouth of this little lowly sixth princess. Now I kind of believe that you may be the fourth brother. After I hung him on a tree for a whole night, he told me with red eyes that he wanted to be the king and that he wanted to hang me up too, so that all people visit. Shen Jian's expression remained as usual. He wasn't worried about anyone guessing his thoughts. In fact, when he successively occupied the southern and eastern territories, many people had already guessed that the fourth prince's goal was to directly eliminate the other princes and princesses, and become the only one in the king's trial with an undisputed crushing advantage. Participants. Such a huge advantage is no longer as simple as wanting to become the crown prince, but pointing to the throne. After all, if the four princes can really occupy the east, west, north, south, and the high seas, they will already control a larger area of land than the king of the Eli Empire. Even if he is a king, his dominance is not as good as that of the fourth prince. In this situation, whenever the king sees something interesting, he will choose to abdicate directly. Avoid a father-son fight. Because of this, Shen Jian admitted this openly. Has anyone ever told you that knowing something but not telling it is a way to avoid being accidentally caught? The sixth princess curled her lips. People under the eaves have to bow their heads. Even if she didn't really believe that the man in front of her was her fourth prince brother, from the bottom of her heart, she didn't want to see him become the supreme son of the kingdom. But at least for now, she didn't have the ability to resist yet. Life is like QJ. Since you can't resist now, just enjoy it first. At least they still have the same position on overthrowing the rule of the north. Then, the sixth princess nodded emotionlessly. Okay, brother. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 855. Until the conversation between the sixth princess and Shen Jian ended, the three players who had been in a trance also reacted. It seems like they don't need to die. At this time, Shen Jian set his sights on Jana and the other three. He showed a hint of harmless expression. Now, it's time to talk about the things between us. After all, I am a fastidious person. I will not break the contract if I take you out of the north. As for you, Don't forget your promise to me. If you fail to do it, I don't mind burying you too. Jana. Other players. They shuddered. Want to cry but no tears. Don't be like this, brother, we don't need to be scared. They naturally knew what Shen Jian's promise was. Shen Jian was responsible for taking them out of the northern border and out of danger. As a price, after they left the northern border, they went to the western border and joined the team of Adolf and others, becoming Shen Jian's undercover agents and providing him with intelligence. In addition, they also want to tell the Western Holy See's plan for the 12 gods. Regarding this point, the two of them, players with no foundation and only level 45 in the game, were not clear about this. They only vaguely sensed that the Western world had fallen into an extremely fanatical belief. Ceremonies to believe in gods are being held everywhere. But they had only a vague idea of what was going on. The only one who knows the inside story and specific information is Princess Jana. Logically speaking, the content of this deal is nothing more than to rebel against the Western lineup and become an undercover agent. With his life in danger, this is not an unacceptable fact. But the important point now is that they are so unsure whether this man is human or not. Are you sure this deal is not a conspiracy? Think of this. The two white players looked at Princess Jana. The female player with the ID Jana was immediately under great pressure. But when she met Shen Jian's gaze that looked like he was smiling, but was actually faint, she trembled and responded repeatedly, "Thank you, Your Highness, we will abide by the terms of the deal." She didn't refuse. In other words, does she have room to refuse? Judging from the man's madness just now, she had no doubt that if she refused, the other party would kill them on the spot. She could only keep telling herself, he is a human player, and the reason why he became the fourth prince is because the initial identity of the horror game copy is the prince. As for the overwhelming resentment on his body, maybe he picked up a monster somewhere mixed with hundreds of thousands of evil spirits. The isolation device of resentment can keep human beings sane and never go crazy. Grass. Jana's mouth twitched. She couldn't even convince herself of this reason. Never mind. Take it one step at a time. At least now, the other party's attitude is pretty good. Then she felt brave and asked cautiously, "Your Highness, can we follow you later?" Shen Jian was stunned. Then he looked at the eyes of the sixth princess and the surviving ghosts around them, and immediately understood something. The campfire defense line was broken from the player's side. No matter what the reason was, someone had to take the blame for this, and the player with the lowest terror level in the game naturally became the most suitable candidate. In addition, he did not deliberately choose the place just now, but told them face to face. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that he knows the three players. In this situation, even the sixth princess would probably interrogate him personally. In this way, the identity of human players will inevitably be exposed. Think for a moment. Shen Jian nodded. The identity of the human player cannot be revealed for the time being, otherwise it will cause unexpected trouble for him to become the crown prince and inherit the throne. There may also be problems with the ownership of Luo Fengtian's authority. At this point, he wasn't willing to take any chances. Soon, Shen Jian left the camp of the six princesses. Just as he came lightly, now he also leaves lightly, not taking away a single cloud. Only a silhouette is left. The fierce ghosts in the sixth princess camp dare not speak out when they are angry. "Your Highness, may I ask a question?" En route. The female player with the ID Jana hesitated and said, "Your Highness, since you are the fourth prince, then the player who went to the southern border. Is it? That's it?" Shen Jian glanced at her, raised his eyebrows and said, "What? Are there any relatives inside? I can give you a chance to kill me. Do you want to try? What if I have exhausted all my strength and am just pretending now?" This if you make a sneak attack when the time comes, you may very well achieve an incredible achievement. Isn't it tempting? The more he spoke, the more out of touch Shen Jian's tone became. He acted like he was making suggestions for him. Jana. She was a little nervous. How can anyone give advice to others just to kill themselves? And exhausted. Camouflage. Sneak attack. Don't you see how your eyes are shining when you talk to me? To say that you are full of energy now is an underestimation. Your fishing law enforcement is too naked. No fool would come forward. Your Highness, please don't make fun of me. I've just been wondering why the players in the southern region disappeared en masse. But if your Highness is the fourth prince, then nothing is surprising. If it were me, I would kill them too without leaving any further trouble. Jana smiled bitterly. She has now been passively boarded the pirate ship. In the follow-up, she is destined to face off against 3 5-star players from the Western Holy See. Either they die or she lives. To this end, she had to plan ahead. Reminding the man in front of you is one of them. Immediately, she told, Your Highness, Adolf has begun to manufacture flintlock guns and has also improved it into a new type of revolver. In terms of convenience, it is not comparable to flintlock guns. I hope that your Highness will pay attention to this in advance, otherwise once the eldest prince is armed with these new thermal weapons, the gap between the two sides will be infinitely narrowed. Shen Jian was unmoved. The old god said something. If they really build it, they won't be far away from being killed. Hear the words. The 3 players looked confused. Will it be destroyed if it is built? Does this mean that the eldest prince will kill people to silence him in order to keep it secret? No way. A dignified prince, his status is so low. What's more, in addition to the flintlock gun, the group of players are also working together to upgrade the flintlock gun into a revolver. In this case, even the most stupid person knows that they can't just kill the donkey. How could something happen to the players? They wanted to ask a few more questions. But seeing Shen Jian shut up, they didn't dare to ask any more questions. I can only push this matter back to the bottom of my heart. Not long after. Yongkang City. This is the only large city in the north built with high walls. Its area is much larger than that of Eagle City. It is almost equivalent to a small principality, ecologically self-contained. The folk customs are strong and strong. The road is full of burly ghosts with bare arms. One player was shocked and said, it is indeed a city built by the Lord of the North. In the far north where evil spirits are raging, this place can even be called the Garden of Eden. It's amazing. Who says it's not the case? Although the 6th prince's daughter camp has established a defense line, it still leads a precarious life. It is completely incomparable to this place. The inside of Yongkang City and the outside of the city are completely 2 worlds. Jana looked at these ghosts with calm smiles and couldn't help but said sarcastically, the reason why this is happening is not the result of the deliberate control of the Grand Duke of the North. If these ghosts knew the reason why the North became like this, to leave them wandering without being able to return home is because the owner here is deliberately creating evil spirits, and I don't know if they will destroy the Duke's mansion. The 3 players communicated with each other. Shen Jian said nothing. Instead, he was trying to identify the direction of the ghost street mentioned by the 6th princess. Step forward. The 3 players quickly followed. There is an endless stream of rustling and evil ghosts and gossips. Have you heard? There seems to be an evil ghost running out of that non-existent street, and now it is being hunted throughout the city. A street that doesn't exist? What is this place? Why do evil spirits still appear in Yongkang City? Hey, you're new here. The so-called non-existent street is a street that has not been unblocked since the establishment of Yongkang City. It is said that the Duke ordered the blockade. It is said that there are major hidden dangers in that place and no one is allowed. Enter. Then why are there evil spirits running out? Who knows, but it is said that that place is probably the reason why evil spirits are always born in the north. In order to protect Yongkang City, the Duke sent a large number of guards to guard Yongkang City. This prevented Yongkang City from being disturbed by evil spirits. Now the evil spirits, if a ghost escapes, we all have the responsibility to find it out and restore peace to this place. The group of ghosts kept talking. This made the players who walked over slightly startled. It seems that the existence of Ghost Street has aroused the curiosity of many people in the north. However, the Grand Duke of the North is also not a vegetarian. He uses his influence to turn the possible exposure crisis into the Duke's palace to suppress the birth of evil ghosts. Place. Harvested a wave of public wishes. This is much better than simply concealing it, or forcefully suppressing all voices. It shows that the Grand Duke of the North, in addition to possessing a terrifying level that can rival the strongest in the Eli Empire, also has a flexible mind. This kind of ghost is undoubtedly the most difficult to deal with. Their thinking ability is no longer weaker than that of humans. Perhaps they are limited by the understanding of the times and cannot think of many unique methods of public opinion, but at least they have learned to use the power of public opinion. It can be regarded as an extraordinary creature in the real world that has the power to destroy a country. Subconsciously, Jana and the other two glanced at Shenjian. I saw the lips on this man's face slowly raised in an exaggerated arc, as if he was excited, but also seemed to be smiling strangely, and penetratingly. The three of them shuddered. Because they had seen this expression twice before. For the first time, Shenjian faced the siege of members of the Six Princess camp, with a porcelain doll in one hand and an old man in the other. He punched Bihai Kindergarten and kicked Nanshan Nursing Home. The second time, of course, he faced the wave of evil spirits and used his unparalleled power to remove the thunder from the sky, just like the thunder god descending from the realm. Very scary. Think about it this way. The three players suddenly felt that the Duke of the North was no longer so scary. In comparison, the man in front of them who had displayed pathological behavior was even more frightening. There was still a trace of pity in their hearts. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 856. Yongkang City. When the player steps into the scope of Ghost Street, a line of scarlet font appeared. It has been detected that the truth about the origin of the evil ghost has been learned, and it has been detected that the player has entered the plot point of the hidden mission, and the hidden mission has been automatically triggered. Hidden mission: recover the Northern Territory. Content: the Lord of the North allowed the evil spirits to encroach on the North, turning it into a barren land filled with resentment and becoming a restricted area for evil spirits. It severely damaged the homeland security of the Eli Empire and affected a wide range of areas. Mission conditions: 1. Destroy the Ghost Street. 2. Drive the Lord of the North out of the North. 3. Stabilize the situation in the North. Note: this hidden task far exceeds the player level limit. Players can choose one of them to complete. Each time one is completed, the rewards will be stacked. Note: hidden risks need to be completely resolved to meet customs clearance standards. Note: this task is mandatory, and all players who triggered the task need to participate and complete it together. The scarlet panel flashed. The three players all shrank their pupils and froze on the spot. What? Recover the Northern Territory? Is this horse riding mission standard that we can come into contact with? Can't refuse yet. Horror game, you goddammit, forced buying and selling. Do you want to see what the mission requirements are? Destroy Ghost Street? Drive away the Lord of the North? Stabilize the situation in the North? Needless to say, the third one is a prerequisite for the first two. If one of them is not met, option 3 cannot be triggered. But destroying the Ghost Street and driving away the Lord of the North, are you sure this is not a joke? Even if ghosts and gods come, they dare not say it can be completed. And they were just a group of 4-star players. How could he trigger a hidden mission that would make even 5-star players feel numb? Hell, there is no rejection option. How is the balance of the thriller game done? It leaves such a mission that is obviously a death mission. One white player turned pale. Knowing the truth about the birth of the evil ghost and stepping into the scope of the evil Ghost Street. If any of these two prerequisites are not met, this hidden mission cannot be triggered. And those who dare to track down here must be mentally prepared, so this hidden mission is really not targeting us. The other player still has some sense, but the situation is not much better. His body was trembling, and the tall man of 1.8 meters was even weaker than the frail little girl. My mentality almost collapsed. This hidden mission is indeed not targeting them, but the reason why they came here is just to avoid disaster, and they are not prepared to enter the Ghost Street with Shen Jian at all. Now Len Buting was stabbed in the back by a horror game, and was passively involved in this hellish mission. He didn't collapse directly, which is already a sign of excellent charisma. Even Jana, whose game level is as high as 59, has a bloodless face. In her plan, entering Yongkang City was already the end of the trip. As for what Shen Jian was going to do, they didn't know, nor did they want to know. They just wanted to stay quietly in this Garden of Eden and wait for Shen Jian. And your actions. And now. No more. The task template given by the thriller game clearly stated that the task was mandatory and required them to complete it together. It feels like a thriller game also wants to solve the evil ghost crisis, but no player has been able to trigger it. Now that they have found a few villains and triggered the task, they will naturally squeeze it to death. This is too raw. Calm down. Janet took several breaths to calm down her humming emotions. Look at the precautions for horror games. Whether it is destroying the Ghost Street or driving away the Duke of the North, there should be a critical value. Only when this critical value is reached will it be considered completely completed. I guess option 1, destroying the Street of Evil Ghosts, refers to destroying the base where the Northern Archduke can mass-produce evil spirits. Before Jana could finish speaking, the white player who was the first to speak had already said in despair, "Is this possible? Didn't you hear what the 6th princess said before? There are people from the Duke's palace guarding Ghost Street everywhere, and there are many people secretly there. There are 5 top ghost kings, and there may even be more. Only by breaking through here can we reach the experimental base for creating evil ghosts. We don't even have an accurate estimate of how many evil ghosts there are." As soon as these words came out, another player who originally had a glimmer of hope also had a dull expression. Yes. With their strength, it is hard to say whether they can break through the blockade of Ghost Street and enter the interior, let alone enter the experimental base for producing ghosts. What if there is still a division of guards guarding it? What if the ghost inside becomes a demon? Thousands of them, how could they possibly destroy this place? Might as well go back and take a nap. There must be everything in the dream. See this. Jana raised her voice and said, "How many dishes are you drinking like this? Do you think you are God? Do you think we can solve it by just a few of us? Hear this." The two players were stunned for a moment. My mind is a little confused. What's the meaning? There are only a few of us in the hidden mission. If we don't rely on us to solve it, who can we rely on? Jana said with a look of helplessness, "Don't forget, no one in this huge Northern Territory knows the crimes of the Duke of the Northern Territory. He knows how to use public opinion to harvest public opinion. We can do the same, as long as we make a big fuss in Ghost Street. It won't take tomorrow for the news to spread throughout Yongkang City, and by then, we can guide the topic to the direction that the Grand Duke of the North is the source of evil spirits." As long as you try a few more times, people in Yongkong City will become panicked. Over time, some people will eventually believe it and go to Evil Ghost Street to test it. Once you test it a few times, the loopholes will not be closed. The same is true for Mission 2. We don't have the capital to drive away a duke, but the royal family does. As long as the matter in the north cannot be concealed and spread, the royal family will send people over sooner or later. Even if the entrance to the north is controlled, you can't get in or out, but for us players, the transmission of information is not limited by distance. Jana's words were like thunder, exploding among the players. They were shocked. Yes. There is no rule in thriller games that they cannot call in foreign aid. Moreover, this mission is not at all difficult to be accepted by 4-star players. Even 5-star players are not qualified to accept it. In other words, they are not expected to complete the thriller game alone. In this case, the only breaking point lies with the people of Yongkong City. As long as it is exposed that the Grand Duke of the North is the source of evil spirits, public anger will flood the Duke's palace sooner or later. The Ghost Street naturally collapsed on its own. And all they need to do is to cause a movement in Ghost Street that is enough to shock the whole city. Look at it this way. Although the intensity of the task is still beyond the standard, at least it is possible to complete it. Think of this. The two players' faces erupted with desire for survival. Then how do we break through the blockade of Ghost Street? It's not easy to avoid the top Ghost King in the Duke's palace, and none of us are particularly good at hiding our bodies. Hear this. Jana couldn't help but cast her eyes on Shenjian. Your Highness, what do you think? Shenjian glanced at her. Looked at the scarlet panel. Except for the same mission template that will appear for all players mentioned above. There are also a few more lines on his mission panel. It is detected that the player's current identity is the 4th Prince of the Eli Empire. After completing this hidden task, the player can automatically inherit the identity of the Lord of the North and take charge of everything in the North. Note, killing the Northern Archduke will not trigger the Divine Judgment. Note, players with the title of Dungeon Terminator can gain add 50 initial favorability from the people of the North by changing the plot points there. Shenjian was thoughtful. The reaction of this little brat in a thriller game is too unusual. Especially the last 2 lines of scarlet text are impossible to appear in the notes. This tip from the thriller game was just a matter of telling him clearly that if you kill the Duke of the North, you won't have any worries. He can also become a hero in the North in one fell swoop. There are 2 possibilities. 1. The thriller game is digging holes for him. 2nd, the horror game really wants to kill the Duke of the North. There is nothing to say about the first point. But if it's the second point, that's interesting. Why should the Grand Duke of the North, who is not even a world-destroying ghost or god, be treated like this by a horror game? This kind of treatment was not given even to the original Emperor Cheng. Shenjian pondered for a moment. I quickly thought of the most special thing about the Grand Duke of the North. Create evil spirits in batches. Looking at all the dungeons he has experienced, whether it is in Nanjiang District, Donglan District, or Qingguo, the entertainment city of Lufengtian, evil ghosts are not common at all. There are only 3 or 2. A type of rare species. Only in the Eli Empire, evil spirits seem to have become a new ethnic group, emerging one after another. When he was in the Scarlet Monastery dungeon, he had transformed many evil ghosts into evil ghosts. Naturally, he understood that this kind of transformation would take time. But with the size of the Northern Territory and the endless number of evil ghosts, it is impossible to do it with just one Duke's palace. There is definitely some unusual secret. And this secret is very special and may not be possessed by the horror world or the deep ghost realm itself. Could it be that it involves the underworld? Shenjian was shocked. There were waves in my heart. If this secret is really related to the underworld, it will indeed cause such a big response from the horror game. After all, a lost thing from the underworld that can turn the Northern Territory into a forbidden area for resentment. If it continues to ferment, sooner or later it will affect the entire Luo Fengtian. It is normal for a thriller game to be anxious. Shen Jian withdrew his gaze. Suppress the throbbing in my heart. Then he looked at Jana. According to his original idea, he planned to punch indirectly. But if there is something lost in the underworld here, then his choice will be as conservative as possible and he will not want sudden changes. Think about it. Shen Jian nodded and said, just do as you say, I will take you in. Say it. The 8 ghost eyes on the back of Shen Jian's hand opened. The scarlet ghost realm spreads invisible. The next second, the 4 figures disappeared into the outer street. When it reappears, we have entered the depths of the ghost street. This place looks like an ordinary street, with the road going straight to the deepest part and houses and buildings everywhere on both sides of the street. A gloomy air permeated the surroundings, filled with some kind of deathly silence. It's such a cold place. I feel like my heart is being stirred up and I'm becoming a little irritable. If I stay in such an environment for a long time, something will definitely happen. Jana's expression changed slightly. In the horror game dungeon, the most fearful thing is the environment that can invisibly affect the player. This means that either there is an extremely terrifying ghost hovering here, or there is some kind of inducement that changes the environment. No matter what it is an extremely dangerous situation for players. If you are not careful, you will get tricked. Then died in the copy. It's truly a ghost-making camp. The 3 players were thinking at the same time. If it weren't for Shen Jian, they probably wouldn't be able to get in here at all. Or, without Shen Jian, they would not have dared to enter such a dangerous place. To play games, you need to be hugged by your thighs. Although this thigh is from the Dragon Kingdom, but, he is so obsessed with it, who cares about his nationality? The other side. Shen Jian also glanced away. Patrolling something. In the deepest part of the ghost street, he noticed a distinctive aura, but he was not sure whether it was a lost thing from the underworld. And Shen Jian really couldn't imagine that if this was a lost object from the underworld, what could it be that could have the ability to create evil ghosts in batches? Creating evil spirits does not seem to have anything to do with the underworld. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 857. Ghost Street. Gusts of dark wind blew. The players collectively shuddered. In a place like this, if you don't keep your spirits up, it's easy to lose your life over a trivial matter, leaving you with no time to react. This is the horror of the supernatural. It is also the most easily overlooked thing in horror game copies. As 4-star players, they are all selected adapters and naturally have corresponding measures to deal with it. Jana glanced away. The collar of the right arm hidden under the long sleeves was lifted, revealing a withered hand like a little old woman, as if it could be completely broken with a gentle squeeze. The other 2 white players opened and closed their mouths, making very small whining sounds, one after the other, as if 2 people were crying in conjunction with each other. The other one had a big lump bulging out from his chest, and there was a faint human face on it, breathing hard. The 3 of them moved carefully. However, when they looked at Shen Jian, they found that the man was walking casually, looking around as if he were going shopping, without any precautions. For those who didn't know, they thought he was here for a night walk. The 3 of them laughed bitterly. Comparing people to each other makes people angry. They could no longer tell whether Shen Jian was an evil ghost, a human, or the 4th prince of the Eli Empire, but there was one thing they knew clearly, that is, this man also had a game panel. The hidden missions they can receive can also be received by the other party. Chat private messages are also not affected in any way. In this situation, the opponent is a thriller game player. Certainly. Whether it is human or not is doubtful. After all, if Shen Jian were a human, everything would seem too outrageous. It's unbelievable. Jana looked at Shen Jian, thinking of this concern in her heart, and then, subconsciously moved closer, which made her feel more secure. Your Highness, you have seen the hidden mission, right? How do you think we should use it to create a big problem, movement? It's best if the whole city can see the movement, so the effect is the best. Just saying. She suddenly saw Shen Jian stop. Out of the corner of his eye, the hairs on my hair stood up immediately. They saw a ghostly figure coming into view on the street path. It was an old man who looked to be in his 60s and was carrying a bone basket. A pair of eyes with only bloodshot eyes and white eyes, without pupils, patrolled in the darkness, sometimes in a trance, sometimes as if they were actively looking for something. The next second, the old man's gaze froze. This sudden scene shocked the three players. That's an evil ghost? They have lived in the north for nearly half a month, and they already know how to judge whether they are evil spirits. And although this old man's eyes were dazed and he seemed to be in a bad mental state, as if he was suffering from Alzheimer's disease, the resentment in him had already emerged. This is a characteristic that only evil spirits have. Shit, could this be the evil ghost that escaped? Otherwise, the Duke of the North is just stupid and allowed the evil ghost to walk freely on the street. One white player couldn't help but curse. The soles of the feet are already facing the opposite direction, and they can run away at any time. It should be the one discussed in Yongkong City. Otherwise, if the evil ghost is active on the streets too many times, it will always show its flaws. It seems that although the evil ghost went out before, it doesn't know when it will come back again. Got here. Another player also opened his mouth. Jana's face was solemn. Because there is a message revealed in it. This escaped evil spirit has a very high level of terror. Otherwise, it would be impossible to enter and exit the ghost street without being noticed under the eye of the Duke's palace. At least it is infinitely close to ghosts and gods. Think of this possibility. The faces of the three players turned green. As soon as they entered the ghost street, they encountered a ghost of this level. It was hard to tell whether they were just unlucky or the intensity here was just this level. Before Jana could react, she discovered that someone had already taken action before her. Shen Jian stopped first, with a hint of curiosity in his eyes, and then strode forward to meet him. "Old guy, what are you looking for?" As he spoke, he stretched his head towards the basket and looked at it. A posture of wanting to get to the bottom of it. Jana? Other players? Their mouths were open. Damn it! Are you getting sick again while riding a horse? Listen to what quality words you are saying. You sound like an old guy. Do you think you are dissatisfied with other people's eyes? You are trying to attract hatred. With us, if you open your mouth, someone will dare to punch you. The three of them can't stand it. The other side. The old man didn't seem to expect that a stranger would call him old guy as soon as he said it, and he planned to pick up his basket and get closer to see what was inside. In all his life, he has never seen someone so familiar. In front of the cow, you will be frightened into fear. But this thought lasted only a moment. A new thought reoccupied his mind. The old man made a hoarse and screaming voice and said in a daze, "Have you seen my son?" "Your son?" Shen Jian looked at the resentment with great interest, but there was no sign of it breaking out. Instead, he looked like an old man in a dream, and said enthusiastically, "What does your son look like? Pointed ears and monkey cheeks? Two faces and a fat head? Big ears? Say it and I'll laugh. Oh no, I'll help you find it. Elder? Mad? I don't know why, but I always feel that this person deserves a beating. That's what your son looks like. Your whole family looks like this." The old man glared at Shen Jian angrily. Then, as if he thought of something, his eyes became trance-like and he murmured, "Yes, what does my son look like?" said. The old man's mental state became abnormal. He stood there stunned for a moment. "It's like Alzheimer's disease and I can't remember." Subsequently, the old palm touched the basket, and his bloodshot and white eyes suddenly fell on it. The three players stretched their necks and, relying on Shen Jian's side, leaned over to take a look. His expression changed. Because in the basket, there were many bloody heads. Each head is identical. He is very similar to the old man. The only difference is that each of these heads is in a very miserable state of death. Either the orifices are bleeding, the brains are flowing out, or the facial features have been removed. Every face shows a similar look of disbelief. Could it be? These are his sons. Who killed that? The old man himself? Just thinking about it? The old man's expression also changed. More and more twisted. I remembered, my son is dead, and I killed them all in 100 reincarnations. I killed him with my own hands every time, admiring his desperate and unbelievable expression. He, that's great. A crazy grin appeared on the old man's face, replacing the previous trance, and the overwhelming resentment rose simultaneously, becoming no different from an ordinary evil ghost. Ferocious, twisted, crazy, murderous. Hey, my son is dead. Why don't you go see him? What if he is alone down there? Why don't you go and accompany him? The old man smiled sinisterly. Repeat this sentence over and over again. Just a moment. The three players covered their heads at the same time. One person was bleeding from all his orifices, one's brain was shaking, and one's eyes were cracked. Feeling shocked, the three immediately used supernatural powers to fight. But the situation didn't get any easier. That was a being that they considered to be infinitely close to ghosts and gods. How could they, a few 4-star players, be able to withstand the opponent's supernatural attack? Being able to delay for a second or two is already the result of Li Gui running out of puzzle pieces. At the same time, Shen Jian was also the one who suffered such a horrific supernatural attack. But at this time, Shen Jian's eyes were also dazed for a moment. Apparently, he had just heard some key information. Reincarnation for hundreds of lives. Combine the reaction and meaning of the old man. He could boldly speculate that this reincarnation caused the old man's consciousness to repeat the process of killing his son over and over again, and each time it was a different way of death. In such repeated killings, the old man collapsed. It is the most common method used by evil ghosts to transform into evil ghosts. Shen Jian narrowed his eyes. There is only one thing related to reincarnation in the underworld. That is the 6 paths of reincarnation. But the 6 paths of reincarnation is now in the underworld. It cannot appear in Luo Fengtian, let alone be controlled by a mere northern Grand Duke. What's more, there is no punishment like the old man in the 6 paths of reincarnation. Besides, Shen Jian also thought of an underworld wonder with the effect of reincarnation. 3 life stones. The 3 life stones can illuminate the past life, this life, and the next life. This is also a different kind of reincarnation. But Shen Jian is not sure whether he can achieve 100 generations, and he is even less sure whether the 100 generations mentioned by the old man is a pronoun, or whether it is really repeated 100 times. But Shen Jian had a vague suspicion in his heart. The secret possessed by the Grand Duke of the North is most likely related to the 3 life stone. Think of this. Shen Jian grinned. In the second place, Luo Fengtian found a strange item from the underworld that was suspected to be the Sans Hung stone. This was really surprising to know. After nearly 2 years of development, the current underworld has been basically rebuilt, but there are still two things that the underworld does not yet possess. 1. Mengpo soup. The other one is naturally the Sans Hung stone. Thoughts are spinning. Shen Jian suppressed his surging emotions. The eyes he looked at the old man became softer and he smiled very kindly. Old man, you really brought me good news. As a reward, I can let you see your son this time. Elder. He was dazed for a while. It seemed that Shen Jian didn't understand why Shen Jian was not affected by his supernatural influence, but instead had a relaxed expression. Etc. Can you allow me to see my son again? The old man was startled, and then smiled ferociously. Hurry, let me see my son again. I thought of a new way to die, but I can't find my son. Player. They all twitched. Damn it. Being your son is simply unlucky. I've been killed by you countless times, and I'm planning to pull him out and kill him again. A truly loving father and a filial son. Don't worry, I'm a professional dream master. Shen Jian showed a weird smile, took out the knife from his body, raised the knife with his hand, cut off the old man's head, and stuffed it into the basket. Then he clapped his hands with satisfaction as if he had done something good. Player? Their eyes widened. Gan. I thought you really had some incredible supernatural power that could bring out the old man's son, but I didn't expect that you chopped the old man down and buried him with his son. But think about it carefully. It seemed like he could really see his son again. But not during life, but after death. As for whether we can see it, who knows? I can't help but see him come back from the dead. Let's ask Shen Jian for an explanation. 999, It turns out you are such a master of dream fulfillment. End of chapter.